Van Jones is laying the blame on some Democrats. He's saying they ignored the truth. They ignored what Donald Trump was doing. They were laughing at Donald Trump, and now they're paying the price.
And here's how we got beat. We got beat because the Republicans and the conservatives built a different media system that had to do with online, had to do with podcasts, had to do with streaming platforms, and they were spending their money there. We were laughing at them and knocking on doors in Philadelphia and Detroit. It's like, there's no Trump people. They're not dropping literature. They're not knocking on doors.
It was laughing like, oh, Elon Musk and Charlie Kirk with their PACs don't know what they're doing.
We were making fun of Donald Trump for having thrown away his ground game and doing some weird stuff online. We thought that they were idiots. It turned out we were the idiots. We woke up in a body bag because while we were knocking on doors, they were making these phones into 24-hour-a-day political weapons for themselves. And so we got outflanked, outplayed, outbeat by people who told us the whole time that they knew what they were doing.
We were the idiots, Van Jones says about the Democrat Party. We were the idiots. We were out there. This is baffling to me. We were out there. And we were knocking on doors and we were handing out pamphlets and we're all going, where's the Donald Trump people? We're in Pennsylvania. It's a battleground state. Where are the Donald Trump people? Why aren't the Donald Trump people banging on doors? Why aren't they handing out leaflets? Why aren't they handing out flyers? Because they're on Joe Rogan. They're on Joe Rogan. They're on Theo Vaughn. They're on the internet. They are on every podcast they go. They're on Aiden Ross's live stream. They're reaching more people in Pennsylvania and every other swing state than you will ever reach by handing out flyers. And your candidate went on the Call Her Daddy Sex BJ podcast. Okay, that's fine. You want to go on the BJ Sex podcast, you'll do that. You'll reach a handful of listeners. But you had the opportunity to go on Joe Rogan and you turned it down. You said, no. You said flyers are better than podcasts. And that's why Van Jones is saying we did it to ourselves. They turned their cell phone into every single cell phone in America was turned into a political weapon by Donald Trump and his campaign. That's exactly right. You had the opportunity and you blew it. You hid from the media. You hid from the podcasts. You made fun of Donald Trump for being omnipresent. But Donald Trump was on TikTok every single day, getting millions and millions of views. Donald Trump said eating the dogs, eating the cats, and it got turned into a trend that went viral. Donald Trump said Kamala Harris is at a dance party with Beyonce, and that turned into a viral trend as well. And they blew it on the left. They're supposed to be the hip ones. They're supposed to be the cool ones. They're supposed to know about what young people want. They're supposed to be the party of youth. They couldn't even manipulate social media to their benefit. And that it wasn't even. Now some people, I'll be honest with you, like Van Jones, give him some credit. He woke up and realized, man, we screwed the pooch on this whole social media thing. But then there's others like this guy who looks like a troll doll on MSNBC, who is blaming podcasters and saying that I'll just let him say it.
Particularly the media ecosystem it's not a good one. It's a negative one. It's a radicalization funnel. But what they have done in their online media ecosystem is build a radicalization engine, literally the way militant groups do around the world, that takes people from relatively low-level annoyances with the world. Why are eggs so expensive? Why is my kid learning this new thing in American history in school that I didn't learn? And then moves them through YouTube videos, through podcasts, moves them from that annoyance all the way slowly to a full-blown fascist politics.
Wow, look at that. Look at the podcasts and YouTube videos are radicalization funnels. Radicalization machines taking a single annoyance and just amplifying it until it becomes a full-blown fascist movement. Who knew? Who knew that every single day when I came out here and I did my podcast, hey, Mark Kaye Saves the Republic. Every day when I came out here and I did my live stream, what's up? What's up, YouTube? What's up, Rumble? Who knew that this was a radicalization funnel? That's fantastic. I'm going to change the name of everything from the Mark Kaye Saves the Republic podcast to the Mark Kaye Saves the Republic radicalization funnel. What's up, Patriots? Welcome to the Mark Kaye Saves the Republic radicalization funnel. I'm so glad that you guys are here.
It's an elaborate multi-billion-dollar infrastructure, and there is nothing like it on the pro-democracy side. We don't have when a man is just lost and lonely and not yet radicalized, we don't have the equivalent of Joe Rogan and Jordan Peterson to move that man in a feminist direction. By the way, we should educate men that it's actually really great to live with a strong woman who makes money. It's actually easier. Life is easier.
But I think
particularly the media.
He's basically saying, look at that. He said, by the way, we should tell men to live with strong women who make money because life is easier. So because you're mooching off your wife? Because you're mooching off your rich girlfriend? Okay, yeah, I guess that would make life easier. We don't have, they're mad. Here's what they're mad about. They're mad that they woke up and they realized we don't have a female Joe Rogan. We don't have a Joanne Rogan or a Josephine Rogan. We don't have one of those. We have the Call Her Daddy BJ Sex podcast, but the Call Her Daddy BJ Sex podcast obviously doesn't move the needle when you're talking about politics. Shocker. It's a BJ Sex podcast. If you're talking about BJs and sex, seems like a great place to go. But if you're talking about, really important stuff like politics and government and vaccines and the economy and the internet and the future. And I mean, Joe Rogan, look, to his credit, he took the conversations that he would have in a dark room with the black light on and the Grateful Dead while he was smoking a bowl, and he turned it into the largest media empire that we currently have on the planet Earth. And that is something that the left is furious, especially Troll Doll, that they didn't do, that they don't have. We don't have a feminist equivalent of Joe Rogan. And whose fault is that? It's not our fault. It's not the right's fault that we were able to build a radicalization funnel and you weren't. Give it a try. You got 4 years. The founder of Axios was on Morning Joe with Willie Geist, and he actually admitted the hard truth to the legacy media that the legacy media was dead, and it was glorious.
I think all of us have to come to grips with legacy media is just not as important as it thinks it is.
Wow. Look at that. I mean, that Willie Geist's face, by the way, here, let me play you. I have the whole, there's more to the clip. Here it is. Look at this. Axios is saying legacy media isn't as important as it thinks it is.
I think all of us have to come to grips with legacy media is just not as important as it thinks it is.
That's an amazing quote. And to say that on the legacy media makes it even better. Here he is talking about what is important. And again, it's the same. It's Joe Rogan, just FYI.
It is to you. It is to me. That's a relatively small group of people who rely on us for their information. And you have to go into the world as it is, not as you wish it to be. And basically the way people get information is shattered into 20, 30 different pieces. And so if you just look empirically at the numbers, Joe Rogan's more important than any of us. He just has a much bigger, hyper-connected audience that listens to his every word.
Okay, that's the founder of Axios. And he said, this is amazing. He said Joe Rogan is more important than all of us, meaning television and radio and media. And Willie Geist in the background sighs right into his microphone. And it's one of those, it's not like it's not an exasperated sigh. It's an angry sigh. Listen carefully. I'm going to crank it up. Listen carefully. Here is this guy from Axios saying Joe Rogan is more important than all of us, and Willie Geist angrily sighing into his mic.
Joe Rogan's more important than any of us. He just has a much bigger, hyper-connected audience that listens to his every word.
I mean, come on. Joe Rogan is more important than all of us. That's what Willie Geist is doing. It's live on television. Joe Rogan is more important than any of you. Joe Rogan, who sits at a table in Austin, Texas, not New York, not LA, not Washington, D.C., Austin, Texas. He's got himself a shed in Austin, Texas. Okay, it's a warehouse. He's got himself a nice little warehouse in Austin, Texas. He threw in a table. He got a bunch of bourbon there. He smokes weed, and he talks into a mic. He wears a T-shirt, and he cusses like a sailor, and he talks to world leaders and thinkers and strategists and economists. And more people listen to his podcast than any other media outlet really on earth these days. More so than MSNBC, more so than Morning Joe. I'm going to be honest with you. I'm no Joe Rogan, but I have episodes of my podcast that I have videos on Facebook and YouTube that have gotten millions and millions of views, which is more than any legacy media department or legacy media outlet will get on a daily basis. CNN does not get millions of views from anybody. CNN, MSNBC does not get millions of views on a daily basis. If they get in the high hundreds of thousands, that's a good day for them. And they have very few good days these days. There was another thing, speaking of CNN, there was a woman on CNN who, again, was throwing like cold water on the media narrative and the left's narrative as to why they lost the election. And she's the only Democrat I've heard so far that said, we are stupid and we need to wake up and make some serious changes. And I'm going to play you her clips here in just a minute. But first, I wanted to remind you that we have a fantastic friend in this program, and his name is Chuck Norris. And Chuck Norris, you may remember, he is the action star from all the movies and the TV shows, Walker, Texas Ranger, but he's also like 84 years old. And Chuck Norris, it's amazing what this guy has accomplished, and it's amazing what this guy continues to accomplish. And Chuck Norris has created a video that I've watched, that a lot of people have watched, and it's a 2-minute routine that transformed his health well into his 80s. He did it, his wife did it, and it's all talking about a simple change he made with his diet that transformed 3 internal parts of his body. He has more energy. The guy's still out there whooping booty. He's in the gym every day. He's kickboxing. He says he's never felt more alive and energized in his 80s. And his wife looks fantastic as well. She says she feels like she's in her 50s. They take 10 years off of their life, and it's by making a simple change. I mean, you look at Joe Biden, for example. This guy's low energy. He's shuffling around. He can barely speak. Chuck Norris is older, and Chuck Norris has more energy and vitality, looks better. Look, his beard isn't even gray. This guy made a simple change in his life, and it fixed everything. And this video, which you can find by going to chuckdefense.com/MK, is available for you to watch so you can learn his secret. chuckdefense.com/MK is the website. For convenience sake, I put it in the description of this video, so you can just click on that link after the show's over and you can go watch it for yourself and learn about how Chuck Norris continues to be awesome well into his 80s. chuckdefense.com/MK. All right, this woman's name is Rajinsky. Is it Amy something Rajinsky? And she was on CNN, and she is sharing some bitter facts. She's dropping bitter truth bombs all over CNN, and she's a Democrat.
You know, I'm going to speak some hard truths to my friends in the Democratic Party. This is not Joe Biden's fault. It's not Kamala Harris's fault. It's not Barack Obama's fault. It is the fault of the Democratic Party in not knowing how to communicate effectively to voters. We are not the party of common sense, which is what the message that voters sent to us.
We are not the party of common sense. Her name's Julie Rajinsky, by the way. She's a Democrat strategist. She goes, look, I'm going to tell, we got to listen up. Democrats, huddle up. Huddle up. We are not the party of common sense. That's what the voters just told us. We are not the party of common sense. And if you're not the party of common sense, you're the party of nonsense. Not uncommon sense. You're just the party of nonsense. The Republicans, the conservatives, Donald Trump, J.D. Vance, these, RFK Jr., Tulsi Gabbard, Elon Musk, these are the people, Tucker Carlson, me. We're the party of common sense. The Democrats are the party of nonsense. And some of them are fighting it. Some of them are saying, no. Troll Doll is out there saying, no, it's the Republicans. They created a radicalization machine where you put in lonely dudes and you pop out these radicalized white supremacists who will vote for Donald Trump because they listen to Joe Rogan constantly on repeat. Because we take these minor annoyances and we amplify them. But she's saying, no, the reason people voted for Donald Trump and not Kamala Harris is because we're nonsensical people. And then she brought receipts.
When we address Latina and language, listen, language has meaning. When we address Latino voters as Latinx, for instance, because that's the politically correct thing to do. It makes them think that we don't even live on the same planet.
You don't live on, that's exactly right. We've been saying this for years. This is what we've been saying for years. And we've been called insensitive and racist and white supremacist and far right. We're saying Latinx isn't a thing. It's Latino. You're a Latino. You're not Latinx. That's some BS word made up. It doesn't even make, you can't even say it. You can't even Latinx. No, people were like, what's Latinx? Nobody even knew what it meant. It was nonsensical. And now that they've lost in grand fashion, now that they've lost the entire country, now that they've lost the House, the Senate, the White House, now that they've lost the majority of governorships and state legislatures across the country, now that there are more registered Republicans in this country than ever before, and now that Donald Trump is the first Republican in decades to win an electoral majority and a popular vote majority, they're starting to realize maybe we shouldn't have called Latinos Latinx. Maybe we should have just called them Latinos and focused on real issues.
As they do. When we are too afraid to say that, hey, college kids, if you're trashing a campus at Columbia University because you're unhappy about some sort of policy and you're taking over a university and you're trashing it and preventing other students from learning, that is unacceptable. But we're so worried about alienating one or another cohort in our coalition that we don't know what to say when normal people look at that and say, wait a second, I send my kids to college so they can learn, not so that they can burn buildings and trash lawns, right?
Yeah, that's exactly right. Wow, look at that. She said normal people. She said normal people. Normal people look at what we do on our college campuses and they go, that's not why I send my kid to school. I don't send him to trash buildings or burn buildings and trash lawns. That's not why I send him. I send him to learn stuff. Are you guys not teaching them stuff? That Harvard University allowed their students to rip down American flags, replace them with Palestinian flags, sit out in the yard. They allowed them to taunt and to torture and to torment Jewish students at Harvard University. They allowed it to go on. Yet yesterday or Wednesday, they canceled classes because Donald Trump was elected president. I kid you not. You can Google it. Harvard University canceled. They gave all their kids a mental health day because Donald Trump won the presidential election, but they refused to do anything about the pro-Palestinians going out there, sitting in their campus, destroying their buildings. At Columbia, they broke into the library. They pitched tents. They were ripping down American flags. At the University of North Carolina, thank God, we had the fraternity bros to save the American flag, the stars and stripes, from hitting the ground and getting trashed by these pro-Palestinian weirdos. And the college campuses just sat around going, well, we're going to allow it because we want to make sure that we are allowing all opinions to thrive here at our university. But when Donald Trump becomes president, they cancel classes for mental health. And she said, that's not normal. And people know it's not normal. And they're looking at us and they're going, you guys are not normal. You know what the opposite of normal is? Abnormal. So she's on CNN saying, Democrats, we are nonsensical and we are abnormal. And she's right. And there's more.
And so on and so forth. When we put pronouns after names and say she, her, as opposed to saying, you know what, if I call you by the wrong pronoun, call me out. I'm sorry. I won't do it again. But stop with the virtue signaling.
Look at that. This is great. I love this. I love what the Democrat Party is becoming. She's out there saying, guys, listen up. We are nonsensical, we are abnormal, and we are virtue signaling. And we need to stop because that's why we're getting beat.
And just speak to people like they're normal. There's nothing I'm going to say to Michael that I'm not going to say to you, that I'm not going to say to somebody else. I speak the same language to everybody. But that's not what Democrats do. We constantly try to parse out different ways of speaking to different cohorts because our focus groups or our polling shows that so-and-so appeals to such and such. That's not how normal people think. It's not common sense. And we need to start being the party of common sense again.
Yeah, good luck. Good luck with that. Good luck. They want to be the party of common sense.
Okay, so since Trump won the election, we're cooked. Yup. I'm going to be leaving the U.S. and I'm going to be moving to Hawaii. So we'll see how it goes. And I'll update you guys.
Party of common sense.